So 10 years ago today, my whole world changed, and I'm already getting emotional about it. So this is something I've wanted to talk about for a long time, and I have talked about it with certain people, but I tend to leave out a lot of the details, a lot of the emotion, because I don't want to get teary, I don't want to get crying, but I feel like it's very important for my story to be heard. So 10 years ago today, when I was 11 years old, I had a drunk driver drive through my bedroom in the middle of the night. And the question that always comes with this are, were you in the room? Were you asleep? Yes, I was in the room. My sister was in the room because we shared the room at the same time. And we were both asleep. So what happened was the truck, we live on a T street. We live right on the intersection of the T. So he came straight from down the tree. He went through our room, through our beds, through our closet, into my older sister's bedroom. And honestly, I don't remember a lot of what happened inside the room because I apparently hit my head. We had a bunk bed where I'm sitting now, and I was on the top, and instead of the bed collapsing like it should have, the top half with me in it went flying into the back of the truck, and at some point there I hit my head. And so I actually don't remember a lot of what happened inside the room and after. Some people have said, well, you're lucky you don't have to remember what happened, and I'm not lucky. I wish so much that I could remember what happened, because right now in my memory there's just this blank space. I have no idea what's supposed to go there. I only know what I've heard from other people, and that's terrifying for me, because especially that one day it might come back. And I did have a little bit of memory come back at one point during school after the accident, so I know it is likely that it will all come back at some point, and that terrifies me. And so, as you can see, I'm still alive. So yeah, so what I do remember is sitting in this room, finding my little sister, and we sat somewhere and we're basically just asking where we were, where were we? And for some reason it made sense that we were at a good family's friend's house while they did demolition on my older sister's room, and it didn't make sense at all. And I know that, but at the time it made sense for me. I guess it was a coping thing. And then I remember looking to the wall and seeing one of my posters there, realizing that this was my room, that we were in our room, and that something had happened. And then I don't remember what happened after then. I remember being back in our kitchen where our laundry, our dryer and hamper are, and my mom getting me some clothes out of the hamper because I was just in a really tiny nightie, and putting on the pants. My hips started to just throb, and I looked down and it's just this huge mess, and I had to get the paramedics to come over and look at it and get the glass out and get the debris out and clean it. Yeah. And then from there I don't remember what happened. And I do remember my mom taking me and my younger sister out to the living room and saying, stay here, you have to stay here. And then next thing I know, she has the driver's fighting to get back into our house, which I don't know why he would do that. I still don't know why. I don't understand it. And I just remember my mom turning into this short little superhero and just picking him up by the scruff of his shirt, back of his pants, and just throwing him out. But in the meantime, my little sister's crying. I'm screaming at him to get the F out of my house. And so my dad sees what happened, and he goes running out, and he probably would have killed him if he had had the chance. And then, once again, my memory goes blank. And then I just remember being outside walking over to our neighbors who were going to let us stay there for a bit, and just seeing this gaping hole in my house. And it, basically seeing the hole in my house, I think that's when I really realized something was wrong, and that I realized what had actually happened. And I think that's the moment you could say I probably lost my childhood, I lost my innocence, because after that the world was just a different place. It showed me that, no, you're not safe sleeping in your house, you're not safe anywhere. And that's a terrifying thing for an 11-year-old to have to learn that way. So, what we did find out, they did arrest the guy for one night. Yeah, that was really awesome. The police officer who was working our case was amazing, Constable Anderson. And he actually went to the jail that night and went to him and said, "Do you realize you almost killed 3 little girls?" And the guy looked him dead in the eye and said, "So?" And he got away with it. He got away with everything. So, someone at some point called 911. People, apparently you could hear the impact 4 blocks away. And a lot of the people who were gathered outside the house said that it was a little old lady who came by and called 911. And we never met her, we never saw her, we never heard from her. We don't know who this woman is, but thank you for calling 911. I'm not going to say what happened to my sisters. We're all alive. But I know my parents, when they were both up for some miracle, they were both awake. My mom had gone to the washroom, my dad stays up late, and they heard the big bang and came running down, and they just looked in and saw how destroyed everything was and thought that we were all dead. I can't even imagine that, like sitting there thinking, looking and seeing your house, seeing your children's bedrooms like that and thinking they're all dead. Because honestly, we shouldn't have made it. We shouldn't be alive right now. There is so many little things that happened that should have killed us. And somehow we're all still here. So, the guy who did it, I'm not going to say his name. He doesn't deserve that. He doesn't deserve the type of attention that saying his name would get. He was 2 times over the legal alcohol limit. He went to a local bar, got drunk. They let him drive to a party up the street from us, and he drove into our house. He did not at any point try and put on the brakes. He hit our house at about 100 kilometers an hour. He was found in possession of crystal meth, but those charges were dropped. And like I said, he walked away without a scratch on his body. I don't even think he remembers most of what happened. Yet I sit here, we all sit here, and every day we remember what happened and how lucky we are to have lived and to have come out of that alive. And honestly, it's 10 years later and I'm still not okay. And I don't think I'm ever going to be okay after the accident. I thought when I turned 19 and I settled my claim with ICBC that it would close it. And hasn't really. Obviously, I'm still emotional about it. And so It's not over. 10 years later, it still affects me every day. It took me a lot longer to get a driver's license than a normal person. Witnessing accidents is terrifying for me because I automatically think back to mine. I remember this past year in English, we were supposed to write essays about something. I wrote mine about the accident, and another guy in the class wrote his essay about how drunk drivers aren't bad people. And I read the essay. It was handed out to the class, as was mine. If you get anything from this video, what I want you to know is that yes, drunk drivers are bad people, because our life is made up of choices, and sometimes we do make mistakes when we choose something. Getting behind the wheel of a car while you're under the influence of anything is not a mistake. That is a choice you have made when you were fully sober. And honestly, I could never forgive someone I know for doing that, whether they never injure anyone else. The thing is, any amount of alcohol or drugs in your system is impairing you. You have no idea what is going to happen after that. You cannot guarantee you're going to get home safe. You can't guarantee anyone else on the road is going to get home safe, because you have made a terrible decision while you were sober, while you were fully capable of making that decision. You could have chosen to leave your car at home, to get a ride, to not drink. But instead you chose to go there with a vehicle and then get in afterwards. And that is the most despicable thing I could think of someone doing. You have no idea whose life you're gonna change. And if you choose to get behind the wheel of a car after doing any kind of drugs, after drinking, you should be held fully responsible for what you've done. And you should hold yourself fully responsible for what you've done. And the fact of the matter is, you'll probably get away with it. You'll probably walk away without anything, without any repercussions. Because that's what the government is like. And I'm sorry, that's not fair. That's not fair to the victims who have to live with this for the rest of their life. So 10 years later, and I'm still here. By some miracle of God or whatever force you believe or don't believe out there, I am still alive. I'm alive 10 years past the moment I should have died. Don't let anyone else go through what I've had to go through. Don't let them have to be here 10 years later dealing with the same stuff. And don't let them not even get that 10 years. This is not an easy thing for me to do. It's not easy for me to talk about it. I haven't talked about it in detail. Hardly ever. Maybe to some of my closest friends and family, and what I want people to get out of this is that one choice can ruin someone else's life. It can take their life, or it can change it for the worse. I'm lucky that I came out of this stronger and able to face everything that came from the accident, all the things that came after, because that accident acted as a catalyst in my life and made a lot of other bad things happen that I was able to get through. Because if I can get through a truck driving through my bedroom in the middle of the night, I think I can get through anything. And so you have a choice to make, and I hope and pray that you make the right one.